How to Dye Semi-Solid Yarn with Mary from the Kamaj School of Fiber Arts. Today we're going to look at semi-solid versus tonal ombre-ish dyed yarn. Let's go. What exactly is this style of dyed yarn? It is a type of dye style that contains multiple shades of the same color. The dye attaches differently to the yarn when it's dyed, resulting in a subtle blend of tones. The colors in this dyed yarn melt into each other, creating an overall color with slight changes instead of distinct stripes or pooling. What is the actual difference between semi-solid and tonal? Some will argue that semi-solid is an effect from dyeing, such as forcing a color to break on purpose, or the dyer not using correct calculations, causing some colors to strike faster and some slower, giving it that semi-solid look. Tonal, on the other hand, is one color mixed with water to dilute the color or darken a color using gray or black to create an almost ombre effect. Both of them have a shift from light to dark that creates interest, and your eye sinks more into the dark areas, giving the sense of movement and dimension. So, does it really matter? Nah, not really. Each is a shift in colors. You call it what you want. In this free tutorial, I will show you how to break a color and create a semi-solid effect. Let's dye. This video is going to show you how to break the color Lilac, Country Classics Lilac. Now, Country Classics break quite well because it's just the way they make them. And they also have acid already in the dye powder, which is also very nice. So let me show you how I decided it's going to break. I sprinkled some powder on a paper towel. That's the black. That's the Raven, but it didn't break out into colors very well, but that's the Lilac. You can see red and blue. So this is going to break pretty cool. This is the one I decided I'm going to use. I soaked one skein of wool yarn in water, and I also put a little vinegar in it. Even though this does have some acid in the powder, I just want to make sure it's going to strike really fast. Not that I don't trust it, but anyway. Okay, so what I need to do is fill this pot up with water. I'm going to heat it up to 160 degrees. And then I'm going to add the dye powder, stir it up, and then I'm going to dip this really fast so it strikes really fast. We'll see how this turns out. All right, let's get going. We're almost up to 160. Now, with the Country Classics acid dyes, they tell you to use 2 teaspoons for a 4-ounce skein of yarn. My skein's about 3.5, and I'm going to use a measuring spoon because they suggest I use a measuring spoon, and I'm gonna do what they tell me to do on their bottle. All right, so let's get a teaspoon, and we're gonna put it in the dye water, and then I'm gonna get another one that's not quite as full as a teaspoon because I don't have a full skein of yarn. And I'll put it in and I will stir it up, and then we'll come back. The dye's ready. It's at 160. Here's the yarn. Let's see if it breaks. Dip it all the way in and then bring it back out. Oh, we got some color variations. Okay, we're gonna leave it in there and let it absorb all the dye, and then we'll take a look at it later. 30 minutes is up, and you can see it's still steaming. But you can see the colors did not dye evenly, which is what I was going for. I'll show you this when it's all dry. I'll see you tomorrow morning. The yarn has cured overnight, or the dye has cured overnight. And the reason I'm wearing gloves is because there's still quite a bit of acid in this water, and it just dries out my skin. So here's my rinse water, and I use, well, for this one I'm using Outback Gold. It's a wool wash with a little conditioner in it. It has lanolin, aloe, and tea tree oil. I really like to use this once in a while, so I'm going to use it today on this one. Okay, then I take out my yarn and I squeeze out as much water as I can because I don't want to overload the rinse water with a bunch of acid. Okay, and then I'm going to dump it in there. And there's no bleeding. So if you let it sit overnight and you exhaust it completely, you won't have any bleeding in the rinse water. And that's what you want, because if you're selling yarn and you're selling yarn that's bleeding, your customers won't come back. So that's just a little pro tip, just to let you know. Okay, let me dry this and I'll come back and show you this in a little while. Here's the yarn, and you can see the two tones. So this means that the dye broke, which gives it this effect, and it's super easy because it's in one pot. All right, thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and if you want to learn more about dyeing and some really cool effects, take my dyeing class at the Kamar School of Fiber Arts. Bye now. See you next time.